Well, hey y'all, welcome back to the channel. From the thumbnail, I think you can see that the discussion today relates to transferring the vehicle identification number from one vehicle to another. I know this dredges up a whole lot of thoughts about fraudulent transfers, maybe coupe to fastback conversions, replicas, robbing serial numbers off of vehicles, transferring them, just a whole slew of fraudulent activities. That's the first thing that comes to mind, right? Well, there are legitimate cases where we do this. A vehicle's provenance, its history, its ancestry, its source, its origin, all those things are critical on these kinds of cars or any kind of a classic car because we know it has a lot to do with maintaining a vehicle's value, correct? Well, it's an important subject. As I've been studying these cars for a number of years and trying to follow how do they register them with the particular state they're in, there's a whole slew of information out there talking to these things. A lot of them kind of dance around the subject. They don't get real specific. In my case, I've got a clear titled vehicle that I can trace back through the years to its production. And so in this case, I'm merely removing some sheet metal where a particular VIN is stamped because it's rusted out and replacing it with new sheet metal. And so my intent is to document how I'm doing that and maintaining the vehicle's provenance. So not only is this a YouTube posting or a YouTube video that I'm publishing, it also serves as my history or my documentation. As you've seen in previous videos, I had to replace the two apron pieces that attach to the firewall on the passenger and driver side. And on both of those pieces, there are stamped VIN numbers. Seems kind of redundant, doesn't it? VIN number, vehicle identification number. Well, anyway, I guess I'll probably always say VIN number, even though it's redundant. Well, in this case, the vehicles, this 65 and I think 66 as well, there are three places on the aprons where these VIN numbers are stamped. You've got one on each of the two apron pieces right adjacent to the firewall that weld to the firewall. And you've also got one more down on the left side, driver's side, that attaches straight to the radiator core support, right? So I'm not replacing that apron piece, so that one stays intact. It's got its original VIN number there. And that is the one that's actually exposed once the fenders are reattached, right? So that's the one that's always there. Those two pieces back up near the firewall, being those are both new, I'm going to cut those out of the originals, move them over to the new pieces, weld them back in, and maintain those numbers. So if and when, not if, but when those fenders get removed in the future for whatever reason, those numbers are there, they're intact. This video serves to document that process. Although it doesn't pertain to this car, there's discussions out there related to cars like REVOLOGY, who builds a Ford licensed, a brand new vehicle out of sheet metal and again, all new parts. So they create a new vehicle VIN. So in many states, these VIN numbers get created unique to that state as a replica car or a kit car, I guess. They get registered in that fashion with a new VIN. In some cases, I don't know if REVOLOGY still does this, but they go out and also take your existing vehicle and maintain its particular VIN number in some way, whether they try to use some portion of that older car, but essentially use almost maybe 99.9% new material, but maintain the VIN, or maybe they transfer some piece of that old car. I don't know that it's necessary or not, but those are the two ways that REVOLOGY talks about it. You can look at a video out there with you know, the CEO of REVOLOGY talking to Jay Leno as they go in one of their videos. I'll reference to that video up here in the link or down in the description for reference. Well, and then, you know, there's a ton of other things that are similar. I know that, you know, in Peterson Restoration, I think he takes a portion of an existing car, maybe transfers that VIN to that new car, even though it's probably 90% new metal. He's able to transfer that VIN number and maintain the provenance, or at least maintain the ability to re-register in the exact same VIN number and maintain its title in that fashion as it's transferred from one owner to another. Well, those are all really neat discussions, and I'm sure there's a slew of comments that you can add. Please share that down in the comments. I'd really be curious to get firsthand knowledge of various folks around the country. Well, enough said on that. Let's go to the car. I'll go ahead and start doing that transfer process, show you what I'm doing, and hopefully it's helpful and maybe sheds a little light on, you know, my particular case. So let's get at it. Okay, what I'm doing here is I'm documenting the VIN number for this particular Fastback, this 1965 model. Since I've had to replace these rear apron pieces where the VIN number is stamped, so what I've had to do is replace these two rear apron pieces you see here on the car while maintaining the shock towers and these front apron pieces. For documentation purposes, I'm showing what I've pulled from the previous panel, and I'll show the panel that this piece was cut from here shortly. And then panning from the entire car down to an existing panel where the VIN number is also stamped. Okay, so this documents the fact that the car is valid. It matches the current Utah state title, as well as the VIN number on the existing panel that was removed here from the other side. So this panel was removed from the passenger side over there and replaced with a new panel, and its VIN number matches this one as well. So the panel that piece was cut from is right here. This is the driver's side. This is the passenger side. Okay, so passenger side. So I'll be cutting this piece out and welding that in place over on the passenger side, just like I've done here on the driver's side. All right, so I've completed the work. Let me show you what it looks like now. You can see I've put a coat of primer on here. This metal's so thin, I'm being very careful. Basically what I've done is I've got a little more welding to do under the bottom side, but I want to be careful and not damage the imprinted VIN numbers here. And they're a little hard to see. I'm going to take and probably wire brush this paint back out to make sure the numbers are there and visible. On this other side, it's probably a little more visible, but I likewise did the same thing here and welded in the transfer of that plate. Additionally, I've got the number here on this particular fender piece, and so it's still valid. And then I'll show you a photo of the door here once I can get to it. And on the driver door, I've maintained its particular tag, all of its information as well. All right, so I feel confident that I've got all the appropriate information maintained with these VIN number transfers. So again, just a quick video that kind of shows what I've done, and some of this is for my YouTube video here, but a lot of it is something that I'm trying to maintain a history of the car, and I've got this to point to if there's ever any question. I don't expect that I'm going to ever sell this car. I expect it to go down in the family, but if for some crazy reason it ever does get transferred, I have good documentation about the history and the provenance of this particular car. So guys, thanks for coming along. Again, this is just a short little documentation video. Hope this helps. If you've got comments, please share them with me. Any thoughts on the subject? If you've done something similar, any questions about what I've done, please leave them in the comments. Subscribe to the channel if this is some content that you enjoy watching. So the next time me and Roxy get out on the Harley and take a trip, or if we're out here getting some garage therapy, we hope you guys will come go with us.